The Dano-Swedish War was the first war between Denmark and Sweden. The Danes invaded Sweden by sea, but were defeated early at the Battle of Brunkeberg, in which King Christian I of Denmark was wounded by a cannonball. The Danish invasion was repelled, and the Swedes were independent from the Kalmar Union. Background: Queen Margaret I of Denmark created the Kalmar Union under her rule. After a few years, however, secessionist movements arose among the Swedish Nobles' Council, led by Carl Knutsson Bond. Sweden became independent and was then reoccupied by Denmark, only to gain its independence again. When King Carl died, the Swedish council elected Sten Sture the Elder as viceroy. Christian I of Denmark then declared war to re-establish the Kalmar Union. Campaign: King Christian I had 3,000 Danish troops and 2,000 allied Germans. Sture had only about 400 troops in his army, and the Danish could easily pick a fight. In late July 1471, the fleet of 76 Danish ships with the 5,000 troops set out from Copenhagen harbour to land in southern Sweden. Sture and Niels Bosom Sture went to central Sweden to gather as much men they could for the defence of Stockholm. The Danish fleet would have to face the murderous flow of the archipelago that blocked off Stockholm, but managed, possibly with the help of a hired Swedish pilot, to anchor between Kapplingeholm and Wolf's Island just across the water from Stockholm Castle. Christian decided that a siege would take too long, so he landed in southern Sweden instead. Sten Sture awaited the Danes, now with 10,000 levied peasants. The Battle of Brunkeberg. On Thursday, October 10, Sten Sture and Niels Bosom Sture lead their troops north to the area which is Hotteget in Stockholm today, near Brunkeberg, after which the battle was named. Sten Sture's battle plan was to trap Christian's troops in of ice. Sten would attack from the west, Niels from the east, and Canute Posse would strike out from the city itself. Niels flanked Christian's army, and delivered a knockout blow. In Sten's sector, he kept on charging again and again, and managed to break through. In the ensuing battle, Christian was hit in the face by musket fire. Losing several teeth, he was forced to retire from battle. The decisive turn of battle in favor of Sture's side occurred when Niels' troops broke out of the forest north of the ridge, as Bose's troops attacked from the city. This cut off a contingent of Danish troops at the Clara monastery north of the town. Posse was killed when a German or Danish soldier hit his head with an axe. However, the Danish were in retreat. Christian retired with his troops towards the island of Kapplingeholm. However, Sten's troops destroyed the makeshift bridge Christian's troops had built, causing many to drown. The battle ended a victory for Sten Sture. Sture's victory over Christian meant his power as Viceroy of Sweden was secure and would remain so for the rest of his life. According to legend, Sture had prayed to St. George before the battle. He later paid tribute to George by commissioning a statue of St. George and the dragon carved by the Lübeck sculptor Bernt Nottincker for the Storkyrkan church in Stockholm. As an obvious allegory of Sture's battle against Christian, an altar dedicated to George was also built in the church. Aftermath. Now that Christian's invasion was beaten off, Sture had cemented Swedish freedom. He had defeated the Kalmar Union, and Sweden had gained independence. Christian's Denmark still held Iceland, Denmark, and Norway after the war. The two nations that were formed were Sweden and Denmark-Norway. Margaret of Denmark, Queen of Scotland, died in 1486, Christian in 1481, and Sture in 1503.